one of the reasons also why men get cheated on is because
this is natural for every individual.
It is natural. At least 90% of them. But there are ways of minimizing.
Now, this episode has been inspired by the ongoing conversation ya Kugongewa na Kugongeana.
And you as a human being, you're also pathetic.
So that is number one. Age is normally a big thing. And I've even had guys who've, if the menstruation is taking place this is the first 4 or 5 days, the next 7 days is now where the estrogen is increasing towards ovulation. And that's not what we normally call the desire phase.
Hata mtu akikuuliza, who comes to mind? Who do you think will be best suited as a guest for a conversation like this?
In many societies, people say fatherhood is social, not biological. Because if you start looking at whether the men who call themselves fathers, you start doing paternity tests, many of them are going to fail.
Aliet is one of the finest authors out of the 254. In fact, his book Unplugged has been bestseller for years.
Alafu, the beauty about this book, anytime, my friends know, ukinicall ukiwa na relationship problem ama you're dealing with an issue, both men and women.
Let me give you an example. And this is another reason why women cheat.
Twitter kuna kitu ina happen and people, it's like a phenomenon, accepted. Like people posting a WhatsApp. Someone posts a WhatsApp message. Kama, ati, hey, I couldn't access my phone, sorry, I missed your calls. And it's usually ladies
screenshot your WhatsApp.
A lady has sent a message, oh guys, sorry, apole, nilikuwa nimesindikisha my friend,
I've seen that.
I left my phone at home. So there's always a caption. Wadau mmenigongea. Like it's accepted. Like so it's funny, but it comes from a lot of pain.
Yeah.
When you see someone post that, you know this person is suffering.
Umema missed call nyingi yako kupigia, hakushika simu. Ama anakujibu the next morning.
Yes.
Ama I slept, I fell asleep.
Nimeambiwa good night 7. Bas. Ati sijui nini weekend niliacha simu shago. And I've observed that, and that's I think one of the main reasons in kwa kutafuta, because you've written around how human beings relate so much, and I believe you're one of the best people to speak on this. What can you tie this to? The idea ya kuna mtu aliniambia kitu juzi. Ati, why do you think you're so perfect? It's a lawyer, anaitwa Mokaya, Otieno Mokaya. Aliniambia, ati, why do you think ati you're too good for someone, and you as a human being, you're also pathetic, right? So, is this to mean men should accept that you can't find someone who's faithful to you for 50 years?
Should men accept? You see, the problem, I think, is most guys are average and they don't want to do the work. Okay?
Menza na matusi.
So, if you're average and you're not willing, women want the top 20% of men. Those are the guys they want to commit to.
Yes.
Everybody else is fair game. Basically, you are a stepping stone to the top 20%.
To the top 20%.
So they cannot commit to you. So, and women are also wired because of hypergamy.
Yes.
All women are always looking for a better man.
All
of them. They're always looking for a better man. This doesn't mean they cheat, but it means that they all know who is next.
They're not cheating, but they know.
They know who is next. Like, for most women who are in long-term relationships, if the guy dies today, she knows who is the guy who is likely to replace the guy. They know. That guy is either in the friend zone or he has got some choosing signals or whatever. She knows.
Okay.
She knows this guy has actually expressed some sort of interest. It's just women are wired like that. But I think it's also because of our evolutionary past. There were many cases where, men could leave for a hunting trip, like 10 guys. They leave and they say bye to their family, nini. They go. And sometimes because they're going after these animals that are migrating,
yes,
they could be gone for 3 days. And when they come back, they left as 10 guys, they're coming back as 7. And the woman is asking, where is my car? Then you say, we are sorry. Mike didn't make it. There was a buffalo that came, Ikamdunga, the guy died. So these women had to now move to the next guy, you know. She had to be able to survive the death of the husband. So they've evolved that way. They seek security. They really prioritize security. Yeah, so that happens a lot. So because of that, women are always, that's why this thing of my dress, my choice is a big deal for women, because when you stop women from dressing in ways that advertise their sexuality, then you're stopping them from optimizing their hypergamy. So they don't want to be put away from being seen by viable potential men. So women always want to be, they have to advertise. That's why they spend so much money on cosmetics. Weekend Yota is in the salon and so on, so that they have to be at their best. Because when you're at your best, the guy who is better than your husband, or the guy who is a potential successor of your husband, may actually notice you. So you always have to be at your best. That's why men don't care. You see the guys, look at gyms now, you go, aerobics, it's women who are there. They are getting in their best shape. Guys are lounging around in pot bellies, they don't care. Because men are secure in themselves, but women know that their security comes from being able to get the best man.
So so these makeup to market to amplify to put them in a better position to be chosen.
Actually, to idealize themselves.
It's an upgrade of something. So before the invention of makeup, Nini Easy beauty products, they had something before.
They always had something, but you know, women have always been beauty objects. So just in terms of, if you look at most tribes or societies, if you look at, like, for example, Indians, you'll find that it's men who are supposed to approach women. So for you to be able to approach a woman, how do you know that she's single? They put a dot here. You know, there's always like a flower on the ear to make her stand out.
It's men who are supposed to approach women. Women as?
It's men who are supposed to approach women.
Okay.
The woman's job is to advertise herself and make sure she's noticed. So the huge bangles, the necklaces, their jewelry, and that's where even makeup comes in. You know, the eyebrows, the eyelashes, all those are efforts to make themselves stand out so that they can be approached by men who are interested.
Okay.
So it's there in their evolution, and women have evolved like that. So what I'm telling guys is that, and that's why women have relationship goals. You know, most women approach relationships the same way men approach jobs. Like, if your relationship doesn't work, that's the same way if you're not happy with your employer, you resign and get another job. Or you start looking for another job, and the kiva you jump over. So many women treat relationships like that. And that's why in the Western world, women file for divorce 70 to 80% of the time.
Okay.
Because women don't stay when they're not happy. They think that they should have a certain kind of a relationship.
Okay.
While most men, once they get into a relationship, they try to make it work. And many times, if it doesn't work, they don't leave. They get a side chick and so on and so forth, but they stay. But the women will want to leave and get a better one.
In fact, you write about that in Unplugged 1, where you say, women do not love men the way men love women.
Or the way men think women should love them. Men love idealistically, but women love opportunistically. That's why women will ask you, what do you bring to the table? A man must have something for a woman to love him. But men want women to love them unconditionally. The unfortunate thing is, many times women speak the language of men. Well, they don't mean it. So someone can tell you, you know, it doesn't matter whether you've lost your job. I still love you. We'll do fine.
Yes.
And many times they can try to pull it through. But after a while, it tells you, I cannot be taking care of
They
a
are
man.
not wired like that.
Yeah, they're not wired like that.
But someone can fault the theory of commitment, the theory of commitment to the top 20% by saying we have people who are in the top 20% in terms of resources. I believe this is what is meant in terms of resources, but they've still had failed marriages.
Yeah.
They've still had long-term commitments that have not worked.
You know, again, most women who are able to attract the top 20% of men, those top 20% of men, most of the times you'll find they also have a circle of other guys. So the women can be passed around. Like Lori Harvey, the daughter of Steve Harvey, the way she's had I think it's on the internet, she's dated more than 9 guys who are top celebrities, top actors and so on and so forth.
Yes.
So that happens. Most of the times the women who are dating those guys, they also have options. And as I said, women are always looking for the best man they can get. They'll keep hoping. So you can
In
have
that
money.
circle.
Yeah, you can have money, but maybe you're not taking care of yourself. You're out of shape, or you don't have the confidence. You're not charming, you're not sexy, and so on and so forth. So she feels, okay, the money is good, and she probably feels that as far as money, she's taken care of. And because of the divorce, you take half of the guy's money or stuff. She can get half of it, go and marry the next guy, and so on and so forth. So she doesn't have to stick there because you have money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you talk of choosing signals, they show choosing signals, and you say that it's not necessarily cheating. Like they know the next guy, but it's not necessarily cheating.
Yeah.
Then what is cheating? To Zameko conversation, please allow me to tell you something about our partners. When you idea to make this possible, that is quality of good vibes. Such your story, please allow me to tell you something about Rax Company Limited. Unataka kujenga, especially rental, apartments. Uko na ka 50 by 100 yako mahali ama uko na plot, unataka proper use of space, design poor, you need to get in touch with Rax Company Limited. Rax Company Limited was founded by Morris Karaoke. Morris Karaoke ni a design and build architect who has been a guest on this platform. Na wale wame interact na hiyo episode wamekubali, wanasema wanapeana feedback of how real Morris is. So you can get in touch with Morris and the team at Rax Company Limited through the contact details zenye tumekuwekea hapa kwa screen. And I recommend Morris and the team because hata kazi yao inaonekana. You can find their complete project kwa website ya Rax Company Limited yenye link tumeweka hapa kwa description. Unataka a contractor who is trusted, legit, na akona work experience yenye itakusaidia kutembea journey yako ya construction professionally. Kindly consider getting in touch with Rax Company Limited and consider yourself plugged.
Cheating happens at two levels.
Okay.
And maybe at some point I should talk about the kind of women who are likely to cheat. Women can cheat for various reasons, about 11 reasons why women can cheat. But at the basic level, what I can tell you is that a woman can just cheat because women love attention. Attention to women is like a drug. It's the way men love pornography. So a woman can be addicted to attention. And she can get a man in the office. And this is a challenge that came also with women in the workplace. A guy in the office can just be telling her, wow, you're looking smart, you look nice in that dress, And maybe the husband does not compliment her like that. So she starts thinking, wow, this guy notices me and so on. The guy is making her feel good. So over time, they start becoming friends. And then now when it becomes cheating is now when she starts sharing intimate issues with him. Like, I had a fight with my husband, or I discovered my husband is cheating on me. And then now this guy becomes a shoulder to lean on. That is already cheating. Because what happens when that starts happening, they start spending time together, time that she should be spending with her spouse. She starts opening up to this guy the things that she should be opening up to her husband. So now that creates an emotional disconnect. Most of the times it leads also to physical intimacy. But that's the first step. Then the next one, of course, now is a physical intimacy. Most of the times it progresses from emotional to the physical. But you can still have physical intimacy without the emotional aspect. Yeah.
So two levels.
Yeah, there are two levels.
So you said 11 reasons
Yes.
Women cheat.
Yes.
It can't just be summed up as the attention.
No.
The love for attention.
No. It is not. For example, and this is why it's important to... the most important thing when you talk about Kugongewa, the most important guys need to know, you need to have situational awareness. Because most women in long-term relationships will cheat at some point. Most of them. Most of them. So what you need to do is to have situational awareness so that when it comes to light, you're not caught unawares. Because when some guys are caught unawares, you find someone killing another man, or committing suicide, or killing the woman, and so on. Those are guys who, there's this thing called the Madonna Whore complex. Most guys...
Madonna
Whore complex. Madonna is like the mother of Jesus.
I know the Madonna.
Yeah.
Yes.
So most women think that their wife is either a saint or a slut. There's no in between. And so in his mind, when this woman is a saint, and one day he finds out that she's cheating, he goes crazy. His entire world is collapsing.
Yes.
Yeah, so guys need to be situational aware. Just be aware that women can cheat, and for various reasons. And then so that when it happens, you're able to deal with it. And you realize that it is not necessarily your fault. And it doesn't necessarily mean that woman is evil and so on and so forth. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
You can find a woman who, we have women who are vengeful, okay?
Yes.
You find someone who believes that any slighting or any offense, any infraction committed towards them, they must revenge. You see, like, you can find that she has a girlfriend who didn't attend her birthday, you know, and she takes it so bad that she talks about it, she keeps repeating it, and she makes sure that somehow she gets back to that friend of hers, okay? That's
Yes.
a vindictive person. So when you have someone like that as a partner, you can find one day maybe she called you and you did not pick, okay? Or you did not respond to a text message quick enough. Or you looked at another woman, maybe your eyes lingered too much on her behind or whatever, and she noticed, and she feels so angry at you. And so a woman who is vindictive can actually just cheat to even the playing field. She feels you wronged her, and she revenges by cheating. So women can actually...
She punishes you by feeling good.
Yes. So there are people who are vengeful. There are women who have very low self-esteem. And sometimes they're what we call attention whores. She wants to be noticed. She wants to be adored. She wants to be validated. So you as a man, maybe you're very busy working, you're traveling, and so on and so forth. And so she gets the attention deficit. She feels that she needs to fill up the attention you're not giving her by now getting it from other men. Those are women like that are likely to cheat because there'll always be better orbiters who are willing to give you the attention and tell you, wow, you're looking nice. Can we go for coffee? Come for drinks. There's this party. She'll go because she wants to be validated. And in the process, she's going to cheat. So those are two examples. You can have examples of women who are thrill seekers. There are women who are now, the guys who are dating have to know this. If you have a woman who cannot tolerate boredom, like she's always, either she's going on road trips, she's going on parties, there has to be stimulus. She has to be constantly stimulated. Even through drama, sometimes they just create drama. She's fighting with her mother, with her sister, with her friends, or with you. She cannot just sit still and just enjoy your company. Someone who is overstimulated like that is also likely to cheat because at some point you'll get exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, you can't give someone attention all the time.
Yes.
So that moment she'll look for a thrill and she'll go and sleep with someone just to get the thrill of it and come back. So that again is another situation or person that if you have a person like that, you are likely to end up unagongewa. Yeah. So that one normally happens a lot. Even the issue of you can have a woman who is too independent. Okay, you're in a relationship, but you can see that she doesn't want to be very intimate. Okay, she wants to keep her space. Anasema msikue close sana. She wants to maintain a degree of independence. Most of the times they come across as, you know, I'm a strong woman and she takes care of her stuff. You know, she pays her bills and things like that. And she doesn't want to be very close to a man. Most of the times it's because she values her freedom. And low-key, the freedom she's actually valuing is the freedom to be able to switch between different men.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to commit to one man. So it comes out as independence, but in reality, she wants to keep her options open. So that again is very, very important. If you are a man and you're with a woman in a long-term relationship, and you notice that she really values her independence, most of the time that independence is independence or freedom to sleep with different men.
Na sasa, kuna Bamboo has a line before he got saved kwa his song ya Kompe. He says, siwezi funga mtu kama police nikikurelease na kuambia tu peace.
Yes.
I subscribe to that philosophy in that you cannot police someone.
Yeah.
Okay? So what you're saying is the solution to usigongewe ama ukwe na someone you can count on is to be situationally aware. And so instead of chungaing your person, you chunga the areas, ama you guard the areas where things could happen.
Yeah.
Right? Or you be so deliberate about understanding the profile of the person you commit to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Her past really matters. Like if she's a woman who has had several relationships, she's been breaking up relationships. Many times it could also be because she really values her independence and she doesn't want to be tied down. Anything happens, she breaks off. So I also agree with that. And there's been a big debate about this on Manosphere about you need to police your woman and so on. But one thing that is very important, guys need to know, most of the times you need to lead a woman. Women don't like it, but that is the truth. Because most of the times women will lead the relationship to a ditch when they are the ones that are leading the relationship. Okay? So what is going to happen is this. Women don't understand themselves. Let me give you an example. And this is another reason why women cheat.
Women don't understand themselves. That's a strong statement.
Yeah. Because actually women who've read Unplugged, they say they understand themselves better. Let me give you an example. If you look at a woman's ovulatory cycle, what we call the menstrual cycle, it is 28 days divided into 2. There's what we call the follicular phase and the luteal phase. The first 14 days, if the menstruation is taking place this is the first 4 or 5 days. The next 7 days is now where the estrogen is increasing towards ovulation. And that's not what we normally call the desire phase. Or that's what we normally call the desire phase. So that is the time she wants an alpha. So if she's married to a man whose genes she doesn't particularly like, okay? For whatever reasons, they're normally biological reasons. You could be a guy who has a lot of money, but she doesn't like maybe your looks or your confidence or your the kind of masculine energy you're exuding.
And she married you.
Yeah, she married you because of your money. Women prioritize survival. So she can, and they're very calculating. And this has happened throughout the ages. So she will marry you, but when she's ovulating, she wants to look for the alpha, the guy who has the good seeds. So that's the time most of them step out.
But how do you know seeds first? Okay, I'm asking for how do you know good seeds?
Women normally go for men who are tall. They go for men who are
physical.
Physical, it's physical, purely physical. That's why I know a lot of these watchmen, you'll find that their kids, watoto wakifika teenage, unaona huyu jamaa, this guy is looking like that askari we had 10 years ago. He's walking exactly like him. So during that phase, that desire phase, she slipped out and gave the guy a chance. So you raise that child knowing that it is yours. You remember the joke that Dave Chappelle says that men tell a lot of lies. A man can tell you...
That's Chris Rock.
Oh, it's Chris Rock. Yeah. I was with Brayo. But the woman will tell you this is your son.
The biggest lies. Yes.
Yeah, so that is
as in, there is no definite... yes, I can commit to you for a certain thing, but I look for...
Yes. And most of the times, the reason I'm telling women don't understand themselves, when she wants an alpha, the woman is going to create drama. She's going to be very dramatic. So she wants a reason to step out. So she'll nag you, or she'll cause a fight over nothing. Like, why didn't you pick my call? I was calling you during the day. Why are you always like this? Are you seeing someone else? Then you get annoyed and maybe you shout at her and then she walks out. So when she's in the club, she can call someone, maybe she's been friend zone, or someone approaches her, hi, how are you? Can I join you? And that's the time she gets a one-night stand and she gets pregnant. Because innately, she's looking for an alpha. She wants to have a boy who is handsome, who is strong, and so on and so forth. But she doesn't know. And that's why men also encourage, you need to know when your woman is ovulating so that you can also understand her behavior. There are some fights, they just instigate chaos so that they can have a reason to step out. Okay? So when that alpha phase is over, the next phase is what we call the attraction phase. Now, that's where progesterone really increases. That's the time most women want a better guy, a guy who can listen to them. They'll share their frustration even with their husband, We normally call them emotional tampons, because it's a guy who will just sit there and listen and say, Aki, sorry, that guy is so bad. Why does he do this to you? He's the guy who is going to give a listening ear. So women normally want that guy at that time.
There's a season for that.
Yeah, there's a season for that. And that is why men get confused, because you'll find people asking women, how can you cheat on such a good man? This man could be good, he's attractive, but he's not desirable. He doesn't make her wet. He makes her feel safe because he has resources, he's dependable, he's loyal, but he does not make her wet. So when she's desirous, she goes for the guy who is going to create the desire in her, who we call the alpha. He's a guy who has the alpha seed.
And it's natural.
It's natural. It's natural. It's in them. And this is why men fail. 30% of men fail paternity tests because of this. And that's why even in many societies, people say fatherhood is social. It's social, not biological. Because if you start looking at whether the men who call themselves fathers, you start doing paternity tests, many of them are going to fail. Women know this. And remember, they will always give this scenario. You find a situation where there's a woman. She finds this guy. She's in love. They have planned a wedding committee. Everything is planned. The wedding date is set. Then one day she gets a message. Her ex calls her, tells her, by the way, I'm in town. I just wanted to say hi. Can we get over? Can we meet for coffee? Then they go and meet for coffee, and one thing leads to another, and they smash.
Yes.
And the guy goes, and that's it. So 2 weeks later, like 4 weeks to the wedding day, she realizes she's pregnant. So she calls her friends and tells them, by the way, this is happening. I'm so devastated. What am I going to do? What do you think they'll tell her? And she wants to know, do I tell him? Tambiwa, don't tell him. He doesn't need to know.
Skeletons in the closet.
Yeah. Which brings me to the next point. Most women have skeletons in the closet. Almost all of them. But some have graveyards. Okay? But there's always a skeleton in the closet. And that's why you are normally told that women cheat more than men. Because you see, when a man cheats, a man knows that every time you've slept with a woman, you've cheated. But many women, for example, when she cheats out of revenge, she'll not count that one. When you ask her, what is your notch count? Yes, that one doesn't count. She did it out of anger. Or she'll say that one night stands, those ones don't count. Her emotions were not involved. Yes. Or if she slept with the boss to get a promotion, that one is not counted. That's so when you ask her what's your notch count, and she tells you 3, that's why guys are told multiply by a certain factor. Because there are so many that she does not include in her count.
Does this mean, in essence, I have a theory based on what you've just said? Would this support the hypothesis that we human beings have created constructs that we cannot live by naturally?
Yeah, but you see, we had a structure that would maintain some degree of order. That structure was called patriarchy. Patriarchy ensured that if you made a woman pregnant as a man, you took her as your wife. Men were forced to take responsibility. Yeah, by force.
There was no baby mama.
Yeah, there was no baby mama. A man was supposed to take care of his family. If you are a man, you have to take care of your family. Build your house, build your legacy.
And isn't that what can be attributed to abusive marriages?
Abusive marriages?
Because you are coerced into this situation.
Okay, yeah, that can happen, but it is order. You know, order, everything has, there's a cost to everything. Just like having principles has a cost. You know, if you're a principled guy and maybe you decided you don't drink and you're hanging out with your friends, they're telling you, come on, just a beer, what's the big deal? And then you say, no, and then they tell you, this guy is boring. Why are you hanging out with this guy? Then you decide, cannot hang out with those guys. The same way, even law. For you to enforce law, some people have to be committed to jail and so on. So everything has a price. So that is the point. But there was order. But now with feminism, there is no order. So now women are getting...
So the opposite of patriarchy is feminism?
No. I wouldn't say that. But, feminism, the way it started, it was about getting women's rights. But now it has completely changed. And feminism is not about order. Women generally don't like order. Let me tell you why. If you look at, men operate in dominance hierarchies. If you look at the military, there's a command structure, there's a chain of command. When men go hunting, traditionally when men used to go hunting, the guy who has worked the hardest, he takes like the thigh or the biggest whatever. Yes. And the other men feel it's okay. If you go to competitions, Olympics or wherever, there's normally a gold medal, silver medal, and so on. But you see now, and this is also what's undermining a masculinity even nowadays in schools, when you see children when they compete in school now, the teachers, particularly in the lower primary schools, most of them are female, they want everyone to get a participation certificate. It doesn't matter who was won and so on and so forth. And that's why women are very good at operating in chamas and these collectives. because everyone is equal.
Yes.
But men want situations where there is order. Someone has to be in charge. There must be a CEO. And even when women came into the workplace, that's why this idea of pancake organization structures, it is an idea that actually was pushed by women. They're saying this organization structure is too long, there is red tape, bureaucracy, and so on. But men, like militaries, have always been like that. And they are functioning very well.
Structure.
Yeah. So women want even this thing of open office, where, break down the walls and the doors. Everyone should be able to see each other. It's something that is coming because women are in the workplace. They want everyone to be equal. But you see, the problem is when everyone is equal, it becomes a challenge to enforce things because everyone is a peer. Who are you to me? You are not nothing to me. But when you have a structure, then there's someone who is in authority. And then now things can get done the way they should be done.
So what does this mean? What are the advantages of patriarchy that you feel have been lost, like directly?
Yeah.
Something that we can attribute to Seme, by the patriarchy would have worked. Unajua, there's an argument that our parents were strict, it's the reason why people are undergoing serious mental health issues because people didn't grow up with care, tough parents, tough love. It has in today's world, it's mostly aligned with the negative.
Yes.
Okay. Versus, pure love, raise your children until they become emotionally stable.
Yeah.
What are the advantages of patriarchy?
Advantages of patriarchy, let me give you some. Right now, one of the biggest challenges we are dealing with is the challenge of weak men. And women are better at telling you this. Because women who are of age who are now looking for men who can marry them, they are really struggling. They find all these mamas, boys, and men who want to be taken care of by women. And it's really frustrating to women. So a number of, in the absence of patriarchy, many women feel that they can survive without men because they don't have to rely on a man for security, There is water, the police are giving security, the government, they have their jobs, they don't need to rely on a man and so on. So because of that, they get children out of wedlock and they can use their careers to raise this child. But now in the process, qualities of masculinity which women cannot instill, they are lost. For example, most of the times masculinity is built through facing adversity. It's what puts sand in your gizzard as a man. A man who has never gone through difficult times or challenges is normally a very weak man. He's fearful, he can't take risks, he lacks confidence, he cannot lead a woman and so on.
But we have people who've been raised by single mothers and they become world leaders.
Very true, but those are exceptions. If you look at the penitentiary where you have juvenile detentions, most of the boys who are in juvenile detentions, they come from single mother families. And actually the opposite is the case. That's why even right now there's a debate. People say that fathers actually make better parents than mothers, because particularly for boys, because fathers enforce discipline. They teach these children to control their emotions and to be able to control themselves. Most kids who get into trouble are kids who cannot control themselves. They get angry, they lash out, they attack someone, and then they end up in jail.
But we have people who've grown up in both parents' homes and they still align to the mother more than the father's side. In fact,
actually is normal. That is normally the case. Actually, back to the point you were making earlier, where I know that there are people who say in the internet that those of you who say that we were disciplined but we came out okay, that you're just traumatized. Most of the times that kind of talk actually comes from women. We normally say that most of the times for men, when you understand the decisions your father made, then that's when you've grown up as a man. Many men actually get to understand their fathers when they also become fathers and they see the way their children are behaving. But when someone is still growing up, you either think your father is too harsh, he's too much of a disciplinarian, he doesn't give you enough freedom and so on. But when you grow up, you realize this guy was actually saving me. So sometimes it requires maturity for you to be able to actually appreciate the things that your father was actually doing. And in most cases, at least for men who are well adjusted, you are able to deal with the trauma of punishment and be able to get over it without making it appear like something that is a wound that you carry with you up to your adult life. So most of the time it is just corrective, unless now abuse was involved. You know, if abuse was involved, it's something else. But most of the times, the kind of correction we get in terms of corporal punishment or just being strict, getting strict parenting, it's normally corrective in nature, and it helps.
Okay.
It helps.
What if the world is on reset? And I trace before, and I think there's a word you said I'm very interested in, commercialization of love. But before that, one of our guests on this show recently was on this. Okay, people took it out of context, I believe. John Allen Namo, where he said that he regrets borrowing 1.5 million for his wedding. Okay. And this is traced kitu ya wedding, the white wedding, the glamour that comes to the wedding to signify the beginning of a marriage in 1912. Is this what you call commercialization of marriage?
Yeah.
So I started with, what if the world is on a reset?
I think that's a good question. You see, but the thing is, with the women given unfettered freedom to explore their sexuality, marriage as was conceptualized traditionally cannot hold anymore. Because now, especially with social media, where women advertise themselves on Instagram and so on, it is very easy for them to engage in what we call mate switching. David Bass, who is the father of evolutionary psychology, has actually demonstrated through research that women in general engage in mate switching. Patriarchy actually was what was keeping them in place. And you see this in the cases of Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. It's their wives actually that divorced them.
Yes.
So this reset, it is actually possible that it's a reset, or we are just adjusting to a new reality. And that is why many people nowadays feel that you don't need to be married anymore. You know, the reality, of course, is that marriage wasn't always there. And actually, most of the times, there are different theories. Some people say marriage was put in place to consolidate wealth. But I also know that from the hunter-gatherer community, when we started farming and domesticating livestock, that is when people started living in communities and settlements. Yes. So now that is where now people needed to start now identifying, because of, men value paternity. So to avoid the situation where men are fighting over women, the same way, the way lions are fighting, to be in a pack, and even buffaloes and most animals, they fight for sexual access. That's why they fight over territory. Territory generally means sexual access. All the females in that territory, when you even see bulls fighting, those bulls are actually fighting for sexual access.
So we were like that at some point.
Yeah, we were like that.
Some of us are still like that, but we were like that.
Yes, we were like that. So monogamy or marriage was a compromise, because what happened was men who were powerful, like Genghis Khan and maybe King Solomon, who had hundreds of women, they deprived the men who are less powerful of sexual access. But still, these women were cheating on them. And that's why you had these people we call eunuchs working in the palaces. They were castrating these men or the boys so that they can just take care of the women and make sure that all the women in the palace, the children they have, actually belong to the main guy in that particular place.
Kwanzaa Genghis Khan was bad. I'm told, like, in the world today, I don't know how accurate that stat is, like 2 out of 10 human beings are related to him.
I understand. I've also had that statistic. So marriage was a compromise because women want the best men, but the majority of men are not the best. They're not at the top. So to compromise this, every man should be able to be given access to one woman. So in that sense, marriage was a compromise. So women are told, because women always want the best men, they are told, once you're married, you stick to this guy. No more looking for better men out there, because you can always get better men.
But your natural instincts were not designed for that.
Do you know? They are not. They are not. Women wanted the best men, and men wanted unlimited access to women. So the best man.
It's a compromise of selfishness.
In the natural, in our state of nature, the strongest men should have several women, and the weakest men will have no women. And the women, in their natural state, will only have the best men. But unfortunately, this is still happening as we speak. In every generation, even right now as we speak, in our generation, 99% of women will pass their genes to the next generation. Okay? But only 40% will do that, including men who are married. Because women are
only 40%.
Yes, only 40%. And that's why we tell you many men who are raising kids, those kids are not even theirs. but they don't even know. It's because women are hypergamous and they want only the best. They want to pass on the genes of the best men, not just any man.
Survival for the fittest.
Yeah, it's survival for the fittest. Because they don't even feel desirous to men that they feel are not alpha.
Can you exist outside the system? If you raise your awareness, and this is a scary thing about raising your awareness, to the level that you can identify commercialization, to the level of you can see things from outside. Like, you know, a wedding is business. It's a concept that someone comes with. Can you exist outside the system?
It's difficult. But you see, the men who want to exist out of the system, you know, they're called MGTOW. Word of MGTOW?
MGTOW.
Yes.
I'm hearing that.
MGTOW means men going their own way. It has been there from, I think, early 2000s, where men who have been frustrated by relationships and society, they go off grid, maybe after they have accumulated some certain degree of wealth. They just go off grid and they don't deal with women anymore. They live like hermits. They make money, they don't associate with women.
Isn't that a polite name for LGBTQ?
No, that's very different from LGBTQ. So those men are there. We call them, in the manosphere, they're called black doomers. Because for them, any relationship with a woman is doomed to lead to misery. So they don't deal with women. Most of the times, there are guys who are divorced and they've lost a lot in the process, or they have been heartbroken and they took it very, very personally. And so they feel they don't want to associate with women anymore. LGBTQ is something else. We can also talk about it, but I think it stems from feminism.
You think so?
Yes. Actually, I don't think so. I know so. I can tell you very briefly what happened. It was a progression. When feminism started, it was about women wanting equal rights. They want to vote. They want to own property. They want to work. Then they were allowed to own property. They were allowed to vote. They were allowed to work. But when it came to working, now women realized they cannot compete with men. So they came up with what is called affirmative action. So affirmative action is what was introduced, like here we have women reps and so on and so forth. So that it sort of gives you not equal opportunities, because under equal opportunities, they are not able to compete. Now we are giving them equal outcomes. That's why we even have quotas. Like if you want to hire 4 cameramen, 2 are women, 2 are men, regardless of the competence of these men or women. So when that happened, and over time now, we had women who are so-called transgenders, okay? They're also saying this feminism movement has left us out, we also want in, okay? Then came the next thing where they're saying, we don't only have equal rights, we are actually equal. Do you get the difference? Women are saying, we don't have equal rights. We're actually equal. Like you and a woman, you are equal. And they're saying that thing we call the penis. It is just a small organ. It doesn't mean anything. And that's why they talk about gender at birth. And we normally joke if gender is a social construct, because that is what feminists argue, that whether someone is female or male is a social construct. Like you teach a boy that you are a boy and a girl is taught you are a girl. But if you teach a girl you are a boy, she can actually be a boy. You know, that's what they teach. So that's why LGBTQ is coming in, because gender now is a fluid thing. It's something that you can be taught. Because they said we are all equal, we are the same. And when someone is born, is neither boy nor girl. It's something that they can be taught.
I get it from the point of LGBTQ as a movement. I think when you said men going their own way, my mind went to homosexuality. For men, for example. So homosexuality is different from LGBTQ.
No, it's very different. It's very different. So LGBTQ is coming from the leading ideology now in the West is what is called blank slate equalism. Blank slate equalism means we are born with blank slates and we are equal. So now what happens from there is a social construction. So whether you are a boy or a girl, it's how you are raised. So that's why LGBT comes, because it opens now the door to varieties. You can be queer, you can be gay, you can be masculine, you can be all those things. Okay. So that's where it's coming from.
So homosexuality now, it's a whole new conversation, because unajua, I've always assumed that you tie that to LGBTQ. So, especially now that you had mentioned men. But then I was like, equality, and this is actually in the Bible. It's one of the sins, classified as sins in the Bible, where God decides to punish
Sodom and Gomorrah, those guys, the Sodomites.
So I'm like, ilikuwa that.
Yeah, but so homosexuality has always been there. Like in the Roman Empire, they used to practice it, and it was very common. And they were very open about it. There's this thing called polyamory, where even men, they were very fluid, almost bisexual. They could be both heterosexual and homosexual. And it's there in their caveats and even in the palace drawings and so on. In their paintings, it is there.
So it's nothing to do with masculinity.
No, it has got nothing to do with masculinity.
Now, you have a lot to say about, okay, nataka tuongele. So commercialization ni, sasa now when it comes to human beings being human beings, having a field day with, as in monetizing on the need for people to.
Yes. So now what happens with men, we normally say men love idealistically. And this is where the soulmate myth came from. The philosopher Plato is the one who said that one time human beings used to exist as a genderless species. I know something like that is also in Genesis. Maybe we'll talk about it. So they say that according to the Greek, the myth that Plato came up with, he said that human beings became arrogant. And so the gods decided to divide the human beings into two, male and female. And every man has a soulmate. So you feel incomplete until you find your other soulmate. So now this was brought now into romance, where now people say that falling in love with another person, when you're able to fall in love with the other person and you find that you're really attracted to them, that is your soulmate. And finding your soulmate is a special thing, and it is really amplified. And so to celebrate it, you need a honeymoon, you need a wedding, you need a diamond ring. So it was an opportunity to sell wedding dresses, honeymoon locations, hotel rooms, jewelry, and so on, Valentines and so on. So that's where the commercialization comes in. And men being very idealistic, they take it to heart so much. But most of the time,
it's women who believe in that more than men.
No, women don't. Let me tell you why women don't. Women, you know what normally happens in relationships? When a man wants a woman, the man must speak the language of a woman. The language of a woman means, and that's why when you invite a woman to a date, you pay for it. You show that you have resources. You show that you are willing to spend those resources on her. That's the language of a woman.
What about the women who, when you go on a date, they insist on they paying?
Yeah, now those are of course women who they are borrowing Western values, but still there are few. And even if they do, they don't like it in general. Because, and many of the times it's also a sign that she views you as a beta male, okay? She views you as an equal, which is a very bad position to start a relationship with a woman.
If you go on a date with a woman
and you split the bill.
Or no, it's not on you. Like, I know you are splitting, but then there is one where she insists
on paying.
In fact, they would find it insulting if you insist on paying.
Okay.
Yes.
So now that is also okay, but the context matters. If you're romantically interested in this woman, that may not be a good point to start. Okay? If you're going to have a fling, it's okay. But if it's a long-term relationship, that may not be good because she is basically occupying the position of a leader at that particular point. She's showing actually that she has more resources than you and she's in control of that particular situation or that date.
However much money a woman may have, she doesn't like paying.
No, they don't like paying. Women always enjoy, it's a form of validation when she enjoys, when you spend on her, because it means her sexuality is beneficial. When you don't pay for a woman, whether in whatever form, then she feels like it's like you're treating her like a man, basically. It's like you're not recognizing, because her value, her primary value, it's very important that I emphasize, a woman's primary value is her sexuality. If you're not willing to pay for her, it actually means you don't recognize her sexuality.
I don't like to bring this up, but when you say that, it breeds now another different level of conversation, because I've heard people say, in fact, I saw this on Twitter, nauliza ati ask yourself, ukisema a woman's primary value is her sexuality, watu wanasema, ebu remove sex kwa relationship yenu, then what is it you bring to the table? So that's a flawed argument.
It's a good question, and I think I'd like to answer that. Most women, they think they bring to the table is sex. Okay? What this means is this. it doesn't mean that they only bring sex. It just means when you remove the sex, in most cases, there will be no point in having that relationship, in most relationships. So, and that's why it's normally important. You remember I talked earlier about shared interests.
Yes.
If she has children, you know, you have a common legacy and so on. But in the absence of that, like you just met and you're not having sex, you know, she goes to work, you go to work, you come back, you meet, you're not having sex, that relationship is not going to work. Even in cases where the woman doesn't have children, the sex must be there. Without the sex, the relationship can't go the distance. And most of the times, it is men who want sex. The reason I say this is studies have been done between homosexual couples and lesbian couples. Homosexual couples have like 7 times more sex than lesbian couples. And you know, men, our primary biological imperative is to spread our seeds. That is why men are so hooked into sex. You know, pornography is consumed by men 90% of the time. It's because sex is such a big thing for men. And so that is why most of the times what a woman brings to the table is generally sex. The other things are just icing on the cake. But without that sex, that relationship wouldn't exist. She would just be baddies. Would just be baddies.
And when you say it, I read from your facial expression that you also subscribe to the concept of men and women can't be buddies.
In general, no. Men and women can't be buddies. You see, the thing is this. There are 2 things.
Yeah. Acha ni note hapa ndio tusipotee hiyo point ya commercialization.
Women, remember I told you women always want the best man. They're always looking for the best man.
Yes.
So, and most of the times, the reason a man will want to spend with a woman is because of the possibility of sexual access. Whether the man knows it or not, it doesn't really matter. That is just a fact. It's a possibility of sexual access. So, and normally that's what we call a date. There's this guy called Psychax who's becoming very famous. He said that the reason people have dates is to explore the possibility of sexual access, and I don't remember the other one, but that is normally very important. Connection and sexual access. That's very, very important. So if you're not connecting, and most of the time it leads to sexual access, then there's no point of even having a second date and a third date and so on.
So hii kitu people talk about, that, oh, I know what you want. It is actually, that's what I want.
Yeah, and women know what men want. They know it.
All these other things.
Yeah, so like if you have, and that's the other thing that men must know, if you have a woman who tells you he was just a friend, that's a lie. There's nothing like that.
Just a friend.
Yeah, he was just a friend. Remember, I think even there is this Ohangla song that they say, Mano cousin, they like a woman tell you that was my cousin.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the lies that women tell. But there's nothing like that. Women, when a woman is entertaining a man, she knows, unless that man is a relative, that man is interested in sexual access. They know that.
Okay.
Whether they admit it or not is really not the point. Unless it's a business relationship or it's clearly a situation where they know that they're working together towards something other than sex, then generally sex is in the cards.
We digressed pale kwa ati men love idealistically. That's why weddings come about, and then men want to fit in the wants of women. And you say it is men who actually want the weddings. It is men who actually want to do these things.
Okay, now that times have changed, because women also want weddings just to validate themselves and to flex for their friends. You know, when you have a very big wedding, you're showing guys that, you know, you have a good catch, this guy has resources. Because it's a way of flexing. Many men don't care about weddings. In general, men, a wedding is normally said to be a gift for the woman. Remember, even during Valentine's Day, it is men who are supposed to do the romantic gestures. Women normally don't. They just sit back and receive, where are you taking me for Valentine's? Men who buy the flowers and so on. The women just need to wear the red dress and look pretty. But the man has to plan, get the flowers, go for a dinner, maybe buy a Valentine's gift and so on.
Okay.
So it is men who are given to this idealism of soulmate and so on. And this is why COVID was a big wake-up call, because many men who lost their jobs or their businesses during COVID, their wives divorced them. And that's why now even Dr. Dre, who divorced recently, said, and this has been accepted by most men, And it's part of what we call Brifold's law. If you're still married, it's because your wife still finds you useful. Most of the times, if your wife doesn't find you useful, she's going to dissolve that union.
I think I saw that in one of these books.
Yeah, it is there. It is an
It is in
Unplugged
this
read.
one.
Yeah.
And I think I've not read this book.
But you know,
kuna mahali
in general, just to emphasize on that, there's a British anthropologist called Robert Brifold. I think it was in 1848. He came up with what is called the Brifold's law. And he said that the female is the one that decides the conditions for the relationship. Because, and most of the times, if the relationship is not beneficial for the female, she actually ends that relationship. It's called Brifold's. It's called a law because it is so repeatable and verifiable. It's like a law of physics. Yeah. So the Brifold's law says that women can stay in relationships so long as they are getting a benefit. If they're not getting a benefit from that relationship, they dissolve it.
So it does not matter how long, if at all a person knows there's a certain benefit they are getting, they will stick for that.
Yes. Even in cases where men are cheating or are abusive, many women will stay in the relationship so long as they are getting the benefits.
And for men, why do men stay in a relationship?
Men stay because of sex, most of the
Just
times.
one.
Yeah, because that sex, the possibility of sex always gives the possibility of extending your bloodline, at least at a psychological level. And intimacy is a big thing for men.
Okay.
So most men, if they're not getting that sex, is when they get frustrated. But then also men, if you have children, particularly men who are fathers, they can still put up with a woman or stay in the marriage so long as the children are there. That's why the men, they'll keep side chicks. Even if you have a sexless marriage, the men will stay and just keep side chicks and they raise the kids.
Sawa. You mentioned something about soulmates. Alafu tunarudi kwa, you mentioned something about soulmates. Alafu tena tunarudi kwa matching. So in the world we live in today, what do you think is the ideal way to match as a couple?
To match a man and a woman?
Yes, because we have hii kitu ya sijui love language. From I think your philosophy, I pick something along the lines za hizo vitu ni irrelevant. Like, at yo sijui, and that's actually a common question. What's your love language? Or sijui acts of sijui nini?
The acts of service, acts of affirmation, gifting language. That is nonsense. And a lot of it is just exploitative stuff that the Western world have come up with from a gynocentric way of looking at things. Because all of those gifting languages, most of them are serving female interests. You will see that most of them are directed towards serving the needs of the woman. You know, she wants to be affirmed. Tell her that she's beautiful because their beauty declines very rapidly. They want to be gifted. They want acts of service. You know, we have what we call chore play, where a man is washing the dishes and, you know, cleaning the house to just show her that, you're a good partner and so on and so forth. But most of them don't work. They end up betterdizing you as a man. And it's actually contributing to this thing we are talking about of Kugongewa and things like that.
Betterdizing is being a listening man, a caring person, a bad thing? It
is not a bad thing, but it depends on how much it is done. Sometimes it can be excessive. And you know, one of the reasons also why men get cheated on is because at the time men are meeting the women, you know, you have your friends, you probably even have girlfriends, you have your routines, your activities, you travel, maybe you're playing a certain sport, you hang out together at certain joints and so on and so forth. And sometimes you have so many things going on. She'll say, where are you at? Can we meet tomorrow? No, tomorrow I'm going at such and such a place. But now when guys get married, the guy drops all this. You drop your friends, you drop your activities. You now want to spend all your time with this woman. All the competition she had are lost. You make her the center of your universe. You become predictable. Most guys end up becoming fat and soft. And that is what makes men stop being attractive. So that is also very, very important. Guys need to realize that many women find easy to be very boring. If you look at the story even of Beauty and the Beast, at the time the Beast was falling in love with Beauty, he had become so soft that even Beauty was no longer in love with him. So men need to learn how to retain the alpha qualities that make you attractive. Most of the times in the West, and that's why this love language comes in, men are told to be domesticated, have acts of affirmation, acts of service. So you serve this woman and you end up pedestalizing her. And one of the reasons why women cheat is when they feel their sexual marketplace value is higher than yours. A woman will not find you attractive if she feels she is higher than you.
This is natural for every individual.
It is natural. At least 90% of them. But there are ways of minimizing the possibility of that happening. But like 90% of the women, once she feels she's higher than you, she just become rogue. She'll disrespect you. She'll sleep around and so on.
So, Ebu, take us through matching, the idea of a perfect match. And then we've discussed, you've shared a few examples of women, types of women who are likely to cheat. Take us through matching and how you have the right partner.
Okay. First of all, there are certain things. The woman should be younger than you. That's number one.
That's by default.
Yeah. If you're age mates and it's a modern woman, you're going to struggle. Because she will feel you are happier. You see the challenge?
No way you are vibing with someone your age, older kidogo, and it works.
It's going to be difficult. It can work, but it will be difficult. I have a WhatsApp group of more than 1,000 men, and guys have shared these experiences. I know that there are a few cases where it has worked, but most of the times, even the men, they are forced to kill their masculinity for the relationship to survive. So you'll find wamekanyagiwa. You'll find the woman is rogue, but this guy has learned to shut up. Maybe because of scarcity, he feels either he cannot get another woman or his self-esteem is low, or whatever reason. But so you'll find the relationship is working because this guy is taking all the BS. And most of the times they're forced to put on a good face to the public. Domestically is really suffering. I know of cases like that, very, very many. A guy tells you, bana, huyu uncle wangu bane, he has suffered. He has really suffered. In the public, they are a perfect couple. So that is number one. Age is normally a big thing. And I've even had guys who've, you fall in love in campus, you graduate the same year, maybe you get a job before her, and then now you're going to work and she's staying at home. You tell her, I'm paying rent, nanini. Why don't you even wake up to make for me breakfast? Because, I have to polish my shoes, do this, do that. You're just sleeping. She tells you, why should I do that? So you do it yourself. Because she does not see you as an authority figure, your peers. It becomes very difficult for the man.
Yeah, my boys.
Yeah. So that is number one. It could be that, or even she could be younger than you, but in terms of attainments or accomplishments in life, you've attained the same thing. Then you can't tell her shit. That becomes a problem because for most men, the way we are wired, we work hard and we want to feel that there's a reward for that hard work. And many times it comes in form of catering. Okay? You find someone who is catering to you because it's a price. It's not for free. It's only a problem when you find a guy who is broke, who can't take care of himself. He wants to be served as a king. Then that's a problem. But many guys work so hard so that they can have a kingdom. Otherwise, why would you work so hard? So that is number one.
So you're a woman cooking for you. That's not modern day slavery.
No, it's not modern day slavery. And you see the problem again also, women also say that, but at the same time, women still want men who are more accomplished than them. Find any woman will talk about you the 6-figure, 6-pack, 6 foot tall, and so on. So they want men who are doing better than them. Why would a man who is doing better than you be cooking for you at the same time? It doesn't make any sense.
Sawa, age.
So age is important, and then she needs to have the fewer the notch count, the better.
How will you know?
You'll ask her. Okay, there are many ways of telling.
Asking is illegal. Kwanza nowadays.
You don't ask directly. You don't ask directly. There are many ways of asking. But you can also tell through her behavior in the bedroom. You can tell through her behavior in the bedroom.
Don't you think hiki tunasema sai is public now?
It is very public, but you see, the good thing about human beings is most of the times they think they're exceptions. So they listen and say, naona ni mjanja sana. But that's why you need self-awareness. If a man is situationally aware, you'll be able to read and be able to know from her behavior. Yeah.
The fewer, the better.
The fewer, the better. Okay, this is actually statistical. They normally say that as soon as there are more than 3 prior sexual partners and she's getting married at 30 years old, the chances of divorce are increasing by like 60%. Yeah. There's a point like, I think beyond 9 where it doesn't make a difference. But now between 3 and 9, there's a very, very big chance. So
why is this? Sampling?
One reason is pair bonding. The more men a woman gets intimate with, the less her ability to pair bond with one man. Because every relationship sort of represents trauma. Every relationship breakup represents trauma for a woman, because normally women get emotionally invested for them to be in a long-term relationship with a man. So every breakup leaves her with trauma. It comes with trust issues. It undermines her pair bonding ability. And probably if those other men, your predecessors, they were better performers than you, she's likely to be frustrated in the bedroom also. And the more those men are, the more likelihood it is that one of those guys
bad man.
was better than you. And then also just the alpha qualities. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the bedroom. It could just be a gangster. So maybe you are a nice guy, you raised in church, you went to school, you have a nice job as a banker, but she's gone out with bouncers, gangsters and so on. You're never going to give her the kind of rush those guys were giving her, because you're a nice guy. You're boring.
Is pair bonding what other people call soul ties?
Soul ties is a myth. Pair bonding, is just to facilitate, it's basically supposed to facilitate sex or mating. Yeah? But we call it genuine burning desire when a woman feels that she needs to invest in you. At a biological level, it's just supposed to facilitate having sex.
So soul ties is a myth. Pair bonding, from a scientific point.
Soul ties spiritualizes the biological experience of sex. It says
I think the hormone responsible for bonding.
It's oxytocin.
Oxytocin, yes.
So
that's what. So you have used up your oxytocin.
Yeah. So normally, what happens? Both men and women, when they have sex, ejaculating and having an orgasm, they both release oxytocin, which facilitates pair bonding. But women generally release more of it than men. That's why many times when women have that sexual experience, they get really attached compared to men, because their oxytocin levels are really, really high. But it's also there's a reason for that.
The gangsters who can have a sexual relationship now, they don't feel anything attachment, huyo alimaliza oxytocin akiwa campus.
No. It's not like that. You see, for men, it's about unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. So for men, the more sex you have, the better from a biological perspective, because it means you can spread your seeds more and further.
Okay.
Yeah. So for men, actually, the more you pair bond, the worse it is for you.
That's a dangerous thing you say.
Yeah.
But you only do it if you can afford it. Yes, do you know how expensive children are?
Yeah.
You spread your seeds.
It is.
Hey, wachana nayo. So, age ya pili ni pair bonding.
Her past is very, very important. And then
but this is no guarantee, because some people are experts at hiding. Human beings are naturally good at
it is true,
appearances.
but in general, they will always drop their guard, especially if you've read Unplugged. If you're an Unplugged guy, you'll need her. Okay. You'll need her. Okay. You can tell in the bedroom how kinky she is, how she talks to other people. You go to public places, how she's interacting with the waiters, the kind of people who say hi to her friends. All those things will give you cues into what kind of person you're dealing with, the kind of friend she's had and the kind of friend she's having, and so on and so forth. Even she'll talk about these things. Women talk about them. The more you get intimate, the more she drops her guard. Okay. So you'll be able to tell. So once you've covered those two, her upbringing is also very important. In general, women who've been raised by single mothers really struggle, because many women emote a lot to their daughters, their frustrations with the father. So she'll grow up feeling a certain type of way towards men.
Yes.
Men are dogs, men can't be trusted. you should always be ready to move on and so on. So you'll find such women are the ones who they really value independence, because mommy told her that men are not people you can trust. If you trust him so much, he's going to run away with his secretary and things like that.
So she's been programmed.
Yeah, she's been programmed, yes, not to commit herself to a relationship. So
Okay.
that is normally a challenge. You need to look at that and also look at her relationship with her father. Sometimes it's very important. A woman who thinks men are shit or men are, they're not people who are respectable, she's not going to respect you either.
And is this advice only available for men? As in, is men, if men consume this advice and live by certain principles, it means all relationships will be perfect.
Of course not.
Situation?
There's no guarantees.
So
There's no guarantees.
So
So
how
what you're
do
doing, you're just minimizing the chances of eating dust.
Now, how do women also cover themselves
Yes.
as human beings not to eat dust?
I also advise women, by the way, and one of the things I tell women, once you meet a man and you feel you want to commit to this guy, make sure this guy meets either your father or an uncle. There was even a woman who was in Lynn Ngugi's podcast recently, and she was saying how she met this Mzungu and she fell in love and they were planning a wedding. And
He died.
No, I don't know whether he died.
No,
but
there's, okay.
yeah,
That's,
so and she took this
unmarried.
guy home.
Uh,
She took this guy home to her uncle, and the guy just spoke to this guy for 2 minutes, and she told her, "No, this guy is married." She said, "Married
yeah,
now?"
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah, it's
So
different from
men are
unmarried.
normally able to figure out if the other guy is bullshitting or not, but women can't. Especially once you've slept with them, they get really confused. So it's very important to get another man that you respect to meet this man.
Okay.
So that is normally very, very important. And also, many men who are above 30, if a man is above 30 and is not yet grounded, either in terms of career or in terms of purpose, as a woman, don't commit to that man. You're going to have trouble.
Grounded. What does grounded? Oh, grounded.
Grounded
in terms
means
of,
this guy is organized. He has a house, he has a source of livelihood. He's not a broke guy who's always borrowing money. He's just chasing alcohol and so on. Some women meet men like that and they think that they can rehabilitate them.
Not
and
possible.
women, it's not possible. So those are some of the things that the women who've tried that have really been disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then for most guys, to that first point, most of the times, ideally marry a woman below 26 years. The older she is, the tougher it's going to be.
Do you know I've seen someone who says they are a virgin and they're almost 30 and it's a woman?
I also see them, but that's also a red flag.
How is that a red flag?
If she's a virgin and also single at 30, either her standards are very high.
Which is that a bad thing?
That's a bad thing. It means
Why?
she's not realistic. She's not realistic. She could be, the same way, you can be pricing yourself out of the market. Because now when you are reaching 30, now you're growing old, you're going to become menopausal very soon. You still don't have a man. So it means your standards are too high. Every man you've met has not met your standards.
But you said, you agreed with my friend Wakili Mokaya that most men are pathetic. They're surviving.
Yes, but you see, if those are the men you have, that is the life that you're having.
So virginity is no longer a prize nowadays.
Virginity will always be a prize for men. It will always be. It's called purity. Purity will always be a virtue for men. And men still value it, but it is becoming scarce. So men have to compromise. The same way men compromise is the same way women have to compromise. So if all you are surrounded with are average men, you're probably also average. So just pick one of those guys.
Play in your league.
Yeah, play in your league.
By the way, what is this thing? A woman out of your league.
That is something men come up with. And we tell guys there's nothing like that. It's something men come up with because of their idealization. You see, a man can see a woman and she looks so beautiful, so well put together. And then he says, this woman is out of my league. In reality, it is not like that. But at the same time, there are also women who can be out of your league. Okay? But it should not be, there are women who are out of your league for two reasons.
Yes.
The first one, which is the most common, is normally based on beauty, which is wrong. Okay? Because we have all these women who, they come to the club and they say they don't drink certain things and they have to go home in a certain kind of Uber. But they do this and they take marks. So they give you unrealistic standards. So men have to be realistic to that. But I've also seen cases where And this is what is missing a lot of our girls today. A woman is either going out with a married guy, or she's going out, most of the time it's married, because it's a loaded guy, but he's entertaining her. Normally what happens when this woman breaks up from that relationship, and let's say she's 26, 27-year-old, okay? She's dating a guy in his 40s, okay? This guy is able to afford shuttling up and down, Obama, he has a car and a driver, and I say, I'm sending my driver to pick you. So what happens in this woman's mind, that is her level now. When they break up, every single man she meets, she wants to be at that level. And that a woman like that cannot settle. Because the standards now that she sets for you as a single guy, you cannot meet them. You'll find that she cannot go to a kibanda, na hiyo ndio unaweza afford. You see, she wants to be taken to, GTC and other high-end places, which young single guys can't afford. So a woman like that will keep jumping from married man to married man, mpaka azeeke.
If there's a movement like men going their own way, right? What's wrong with a woman deciding that she doesn't want to settle with a man, she just wants to live her life?
There are actually women who are doing that. But unfortunately, for most women, we have evolved to value security. Women derive a lot of security from relationships. You see, the thing about men is that men hardly ever leave relationships. And that's why men keep side chicks. A man, in most cases, is willing to die for a woman. Like if thieves come, the guy will put himself between you and the thieves. At least if he's a normal man. You can still have men who will run away and leave you there.
You're talking about Vikings.
It happens. It's just a male instinct. It's what we call the savior schema or the protector dynamic. It's hardwired in men. Because of the high levels of testosterone that we have and our instinct to guard paternity, it normally makes us also protect women. So men normally protect women. And in the modern world, he will work hard to make sure he provides for you and things like that. So, and that's why you find even women who have money, a woman who is a CEO, she's having her own company, she has a lot of money. She will still look for a man who has money. She will never look for a guy who's poor. Very few of them do. I know there are some exceptions. But in general, women will want men who have more than them because that's how they feel secure.
Okay. Okay.
And so even these women who now later on they decide they're career women, they're happy, they don't need a man, you'll still find they look for surrogate husbands. That's why they keep dogs and things like that. Teddy bears. Those are surrogate husbands because the women also have the instinct, they want to nurture something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we submit that naturally Kugongewa is constant?
Okay, the only way to avoid Kugongewa is not to be in a relationship with a woman. That's number one. Okay? If you're single, obviously, utagongewa, si ndio? Okay? Now, the second way is not to commit to a woman. You can date, but don't commit. The interesting thing about that is it works in it's counterintuitive. When you don't commit to a woman, most of the times, she wants you to commit. That means she will close the business for all other men until she gets you. But the unfortunate thing, again, is when you commit to her, she wants to keep it open on her end. Because once you commit to her, instinctively, remember what I told you, she always wants to have a plan B man for her security. So now Instagram photos, social media, the guy in the office who says hi and she smiles back and, showing her cleavage, short dresses. She always wants to make sure, yes, I'm committed to this guy, but what if it doesn't work? So all that period when you're not committed to her, she'll be chasing you.
I have a friend
and she will not cheat on you at that time.
Oh, at that time.
Yes.
I have a friend who, sitamtaja because that would spell trouble. He said that his threshold to know a good woman is a woman who does not have more than 200 followers on any social media platform.
In general, that is true. But I will put it the other way around. If she has like more than 30,000 followers, that is a problem. That's a problem. Okay, listen, they're two different. If she's doing it for business, like she's an influencer of some sort. But even the influencers thing, you have to be very careful because recently we were talking about Mr. Wang. So the influencer thing, it also has to be clear. The business that she's selling on social media needs to be very clear. It should not be her sexuality. Okay? Because women who are selling her sexuality, the so-called socialites, also becomes a big challenge. You cannot tie them down. The men who have done it, most of the time, those are women who are very beautiful. They are women who are very beautiful. The men who have done it, celebrities generally are the ones who do it, and men who have money, high-end guys, they normally regret it. 2 kids, divorce. 1 kid, divorce. Then they take half of their
pattern
stuff.
system.
Yes, yeah, it's consistent. So that one, dust is almost guaranteed. Generally, it's because of this. Putting herself, giving herself such high visibility, she's hooked up to the validation of men, and at some point, one of those guys is going to come and dangle a carrot, and she's going to fall for it. Out of curiosity. Remember, they say curiosity killed our cat. Women also have, because of, they play a lot in the psychological things that excite them, they find very attractive. So she'll wonder, okay, so this guy wants me to go for this date. He has sent me 50K and a driver. In most cases, she'll actually call her friends. And there's this guy.
The committee.
The committee will always advise, enda bana, 100K unaacha hivo. Wewe enda, kwani what will you do? There's nothing you can do. So, and then they become addicted to it. So this guy will say, you just come. I'm sending you a driver. We just have a drink. There's nothing much. You just want to chat. Then she goes there and realizes, by the way, I like this guy's confidence. And this guy, for his age, is really done well. Compared to my hubby, who is struggling, this guy is actually doing well. By the way, he looks good. He looks good. So he tells the guy, oh, by the way, I need to go. Then she goes. Next time the guy comes in, tells her, by the way, now, what I want, I'm organizing Dubai first class. We go to this place, nini. Committee. Weenda. Ambia hubby unaenda photo shoot, nini. And that's how it becomes. Now, soon, Kugongewa.
Sawa. Now, there are people who have good women in the context of women, right? How does one know you have scored perfectly? Of course, there is a criteria to chagua perfect match. But if you're in that setting, your commitment. Umesema long term, one way, somewhere hapa katikati.
Yeah.
Utakutana na.
The first thing to know is there's nothing like perfect. You know, women are always changing. There's a difference between men and women. Most of the times, the man you marry is the man that is going to be the same man even when he's old. But women change. I already gave you the example of monthly. She changes monthly, the ovulatory cycle.
Yes.
And then a woman who is postmenopausal, her hormones also change. She's not the same as the woman who she was before she hit menopause. So women change. Their perceptions change. Then there's a committee. Their beauty
circle
changes. Remember, women are beauty objects. Men are success objects. When her beauty declines, how does she deal with that?
There's a movie. I like quoting movies a lot. And I believe some of these movies comes from a place of things that happened. Vikings, Valhalla. I see someone living, like comfortably, living, and they're going on a sail, and he will be back in 7 months.
Yeah.
This guy comes back in 7 years. And they create an impression that the child they left is now an adult, no other child.
Yeah. I see that even the world was, men, that used to happen. It doesn't happen, of course.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, women have needs. And most of the times, it's about just being mature about things. Because if you see, even I don't know if you remember the war bride dynamic, but even here in Kenya, the Samburu, remember the Samburu case? Where those guys come for training here in Kenya, and they make those Samburu women pregnant, and they're having children who are of mixed race and so on. So it happens a lot. So even when men go for those long trips, the women end up entertaining other men. So in most cases, and that's why they talk about fatherhood being sociological, if you're not able to accept that as a man, it becomes very difficult in those circumstances.
And there's another profile of a man who knows that their wife is cheating. They know. And they would... Kwanza, there's a story I was told of someone who knew their wife was cheating, and then in his warning, he was like, it's okay, I understand you have needs, but not just with this guy.
Oh.
You understand? Not just with this guy. Like, it's okay. Yeah, you can have fun. There's also another profile of people who talk about, you go have fun as long as I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you say about this?
Yeah, now, you see, now, there are two things that happen. There are men who have given up on themselves, and that's why I really encourage guys.
Yes.
You need to take care of yourself. You know, be in shape.
Yes.
Take care of your grooming, your dressing. Make sure that your sexual marketplace value is decent, because there are guys who don't have options. There are guys who know that if they went out there, they can't get another woman. That's why they tolerate that kind of behavior, because they're operating from scarcity. And the more as a man you've abandoned yourself, the more you'll operate from scarcity, and the more your woman is going to disrespect you. And normally it's a very bad way to live. Some men do that. I know men who do that, but inside they are dying. And those are the kind of men who one time they just explode. Unapata is committed a massacre. Because it's very difficult for a man to do that. Accepting cuckoldry, we call it cuckoldry. Accepting cuckoldry for a man is very difficult, because we are hardwired to resist cuckoldry. Because the only way you'll guarantee paternity is by making sure your woman doesn't sleep with other men. And you know, biologically, the reason you're actually alive is to spread your seeds. So if you're not able to do that, then in a sense, you're already a dead man walking. Yeah.
That's too strong. Before we close, people who follow me wanajua, I've recommended this book kabisa. There is Saituko Unplugged 4.
I'm going to that. That will be the next.
It's 3.
That will be
so there's an update of this, 2 and 3, right? Mimi nimesema, and I've told you that nimesoma hii, and I'm like, I'm afraid to read another. Juu najiambia, will I get anything better than this?
Yeah.
You understand? So we'll do kitu. Of course, you can get this at Nuria. Niko sure it's on other bookshops. But najua Nuria ukimcall from any part of this country. In fact, for the first time, acha tuwekee namba ya Nuria hapa na link ya nini. You can call Nuria ama get in touch na Nuria. From any part of this country, they will deliver. Alafu, the beauty about this book, anytime, my friends know, can you call, ukiwa na relationship problem, ama you're dealing with an issue, both men and women, this has always been my number one recommendation. And anyone, nime recommend hii book, the feedback has always been good vibes. So I'll do something. Mine, nakuanga niliambua it's useless to mark your book like this, but it makes it very easy.
Most guys have really marked it.
Yes. It makes it very easy to pinpoint something. So nataka kwenda kwa vitu 3, then you expound on it, random places, and then probably tuone kama nitasoma Unplugged 2 and 3. Kuna kitu hapa ya drawing from the mating habits of the black widow spider, the octopus and other animals that kill males after sex. Melvin Connor argues in this book, women after all, sex evolution are women after all, sex evolution and the end of male supremacy, that men are not necessary for the survival of our species. What is that about?
Okay, this has been observed across several animals. There are
female supremacy and misandry.
Yes. Yeah, so this is something that has been observed. The octopus, the female octopus,
yes,
normally it's larger than the male octopus.
Yes.
So when after the male octopus has mated with it,
yes,
it normally kills it and eats it.
Yes.
So the female widow spider does the same. There is also a species of python that also does the same. The female octopus, not octopus, praying mantis, also bites off the head of the male after mating, and they eat it.
You have done your purpose quite.
Yeah.
So they only have sex once?
The males, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But you see, they are so hardwired to do it. The male octopus, by the way, they pass the sperm through a tentacle. What it has done is it has tried to make sure it passes the sperm from a distance, and then it retracts very quickly and runs away before it is caught and eaten.
Oh, that's a deadbeat.
Yes. No, that's not a deadbeat. You know, normally they say there are people who joke that even Jesus' father was a deadbeat. But so the male octopus has done that. But there's also something else. There's a firefly, I think it's called a firefly, that when the male wants to mate, it brings food for the female and it places it for the female to come and eat. When the female comes for the food, it mounts on it and then it starts copulating or mating.
Yeah.
When the female finishes the food, it pushes the male off and wants to get away. So what the male have done is they made sure that they bring enough food so that they finish that act of copulation. But now the interesting part is this. The males have made sure that if he finishes and the female has not finished the eating, they grab the food away from the female and they wait for the next one. So anyway.
That's basically taking them on a date.
Yeah, it's like a date, by the way. So this thing about men being sperm donors, now that women are able to exercise their sexuality in an unfettered fashion, we are seeing it so much in the society today. In many cases where couples are married and the man is probably a provider and so on, they have kids. Even if you look at the divorces that are happening a lot, kids are always involved. So in many cases, if you have a woman who is able to provide for herself, aka a career woman, and they have children, the relevance of the man, it reduces significantly. And that's why many men are actually getting divorced or being left by their women and so on and so forth. So it's a female instinct. Once you've gotten the sperms or the children, then now you just want to raise them, because most of the times women are also taken care of by their children.
Okay. So this I believe you have covered. There was a viral video of a Mercedes-Benz driving lawyer who was weeping outside a Naivasha hotel as his girlfriend was getting banged by a fellow driving a Suzuki Alto. So the Suzuki Alto guy, you would assume the Mercedes-Benz guy is more superior. So in this case, it's not about resources.
It's not about resources. It's about this Mercedes-Benz guy is a better-diced guy. He's soft. Most of the times he's out of shape. He's not able to assert his masculinity. He doesn't look like a guy who can apply any kind of force. So the woman does not find him desirable. The Alto guy probably has taken better care of himself. He's more confident. And so she finds him more desirable. So that's the thing I tell guys, it's not enough to have money. You also need to take care of your other attraction factors.
Okay. Yeah. So now, two things. Yani, any point I have marked can be a subject yenye inaweza enda peke yake, because there's men make the mistake of thinking that pleasing a woman and complying with her wishes is what will keep her invested in him. How do you find a balance? Ideally, you should make your family, your woman happy, right? But how do you find a balance not to go overboard with this, but also not to under deliver?
You shouldn't make your woman happy. If you're making her happy, it means she's not happy. She should be happy to be with you. You see, if you're making her happy, it means something is frustrating her. So you're actually negotiating desire.
And I think my friend Dr. Ken Alwora quotes this every time, and he attributes it to you. You can never negotiate genuine desire.
Yeah, you cannot negotiate desire.
But that's a contradiction, because that means that you can be loved for just who you are.
You cannot be loved for who you are, but you can be loved for what you are. You see, who you are is who you are on the inside. Like most guys feel because you're a nice person, and women will tell you, I want a man who is kind, I want a man who is giving and so on. That the women don't care about those things. Women care about what you are, status in the society. What do you do for a living? Do people respect you in the society? Are you a leader? That is what you are. But most men feel that women value intrinsic values.
That's not base level gold digging.
Women, you know, they're survivors. At the end of the day, it's just that some gold diggers hide their spades and others don't. But in general, women are coming to consume something. That's why you have to have something. That's why they ask, what do you bring to the table? They're coming to consume. They're not coming to build. Look at relationships, by the way. You're not going to find a situation where a man, maybe the wife has died, na amewachiwa nyumba, nini. Most of the times, it's the man who leaves all these things to the woman. In few cases, do men inherit wealth from women. It is women who inherit wealth from men. So that's why I'm telling you, some people just hide their spades, but there has to be something.
Okay. Sawa, tufunge na hii. And I encourage you to get a copy of Unplugged, because I think hizi ni just highlights. If you can see hizo parts zenye nimemark na yellow as highlights. This is powerful. Guys, broken people break people.
Yeah. So that I think that is about trauma. Joan Tatia's book is really good. Confessions of Nairobi Men. I don't know whether you've read it.
Confessions of Nairobi.
of Nairobi Men. It's really good. It shows you how much trauma can follow you from childhood and influence your decisions later in life. So, for example, if you have daddy issues, mommy issues, self-esteem issues, and so on, those are the things that drive men into things like alcoholism, addictions, and so on, because you have some noises or voices in your head that instead of dealing with, you're trying to quiet them down. And sometimes, because of self-esteem issues, men can be in relationships with women who are damaged. They don't operate from a point of abundance. They have low self-esteem. Those are the things we were talking about earlier, of a man who is telling a woman, do what you want out there, but just don't embarrass me. Don't let me know. That's a guy who has given up on his own masculine imperatives because he feels that he's not in a position to be able to realize his imperatives as a man. So normally, if you have something that broke you earlier, maybe it is bullying or something in your childhood, whether it is extreme poverty and so on, then you can actually end up making poor decisions without realizing your value as a man. Yeah.
Okay. Sawa. So, should I read Unplugged too?
The good thing about these ones, once you've read Unplugged 1, the Unplugged 1 I think is the one that I consider foundational, because it sets out the frameworks for intersexual dynamics, like pre-selection and so on. Unplugged 3 is very good if you want to understand modern women. Not women, modern women, because women under patriarchy, their sexuality was really suppressed and female nature remained hidden from the eyes of men. Men were using violence and shaming and so on to keep women in check. But now all that has been pulled back or lifted. So now you can see women in their full glory. That's what Unplugged 3 actually brings out.
And with all the information you have and content you've been exposed to, should people get married?
You should be in a relationship, but maybe not getting married, as the way it's constituted right now. The marriage contract as it is right now, it's almost unconscionable. It's not a very good contract, and it is not good for men in general. When you get married, you're no longer two people. It is now you against the woman and the state.
Even if you came together as people who have heightened their awareness and you are familiar with the full script.
Yeah, it still doesn't matter, because women are rewarded for ending marriages.
And men are punished.
Men are punished for getting married generally. So that is the problem. Women are really incentivized. You see, like, for example, look at it even here in Nairobi. A woman gets divorced, then they start this thing that is called blended marriages. A woman who is in a blended marriage, she has two men. The children she had from the previous marriage, her ex is beholden by law to take care of them. Okay? This new guy, she will also get this guy to take care of those children, because she is the man. So this woman is getting the best of both worlds.
So what does that say about the baby mama, baby daddy pandemic?
It is going to increase. It's going to increase, because remember, by the way, and which is bad now for the guys who are playing stepfathers. When you start having problems in this relationship, if she's the one who left the other relationship and the guy is pulled up his socks as he's now doing well, she will start crawling back to that guy.
By default.
Yeah, by default. That's why we say the owner of the well does not queue for water. So that happens a lot.
But we have people who have managed to get out of relationship with children, move on, and they've established themselves minus any form of distraction.
Women or men?
Women, yes.
Yeah, the cases can happen, but it depends on many things. For example, if the woman is leaving this guy, maybe he's a very abusive guy, or he's a drunkard who is purposeless, the guy can't even take care of himself. He's really a bottom feeder. She cannot go back. But nowadays, increasingly, women leave relationships for frivolous reasons. For example, you have a good marriage, things are going well, then your business starts to struggle. And then, you can't pay rent for 2 months, 3 months. Then she says, no, I can't take care of a man. Then she leaves you. She still loves you, but she feels, you know, I cannot do this. You start having issues. You're trying to control her because you as a man also, you feel she's still your wife. You're telling her, you know, why are you coming home now at midnight? And she says, no, but I'm the one paying rent. What are you telling me? So you break up. 2-3 years down the line, your business has picked up, you know. Maybe you're even out of shape that time. Now you're going to the gym. You're taking good care of yourself. And she looks back and she realizes she made a mistake. That happens a lot. And then you have this other guy she went to who settled for her. And you know, we normally say that the reason she's with you is only because the other one didn't work. So most of the time she can look over her shoulder and realize, oh, okay, it was a mistake. People make mistakes. What's the big deal? And then she'll go and say, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Why don't you raise these kids together? These kids miss you.
What should you do under those circumstances?
Who?
Either.
The father or the ex. For most guys, you should not take her back. Most of the times it doesn't go well. Because, you know, she has already shown you that she's not loyal to you. When you take her back, you're also showing low value. You're showing that you don't have options.
So both genders should not forgive cheating?
No, you should never forgive cheating.
Okay.
Cheating, when you forgive cheating, you just show that you're operating from scarcity and you're confirming to this woman that indeed she was right to cheat because you're a low value man. You don't have boundaries. You cannot get any other woman. Why should she even respect you? Well, in fact, why should she stop cheating? And she's getting away with it. You see? So letting a woman get away with cheating sets a very bad precedent. And for you, it's going to be a nightmare. It's just downhill from there. It will never get better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asante sana, Jacob.
Yeah.
For sharing your knowledge with us. Hii nimesoma. I fully endorse this. And I put that on everything I love. If you're struggling in a relationship, nini. But based on the reputation of this, kwa wale wamesoma hii, Jacob says reviews za Unplugged 2 na 3 ni legit. Naingia on a mission and I'll share my feedback on 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Mapema. Ni how much say?
It's the 1,500 each.
1,500. Good vibes. That's good. Hiyo ni bei poa ya kupata knowledge yenye inaweza kuchange your life. Kwanza hii ukisoma you're not wasting time.
Yeah.
100%. Asante sana for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu.
Yeah.